Welcome to the Arizona Pickleball League podcast, presented by Jigsaw Health. And now, your hosts, Danny Jensen and the Orchard Security Guy.
Welcome, Arizona Pickleball family. This is Danny Jensen, joined with your favorite, OSG. What's going on? How was that game?
Wow, what a night. What a night. One thing, welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Episode 5 of the Arizona Pickleball League podcast.
I know we had some issues. We clarified that. We had dogs. We got the mics all. I know you had nothing to do with it. It's just something that it happens.
Yeah.
We covered it. We move on.
Fair enough.
One of the things I didn't know if most people noticed tonight, but we added a new camera. So now we have 8. It is the Canon XR 250 P420 8K. 8K. And boy, did we need 8K tonight.
With all those challenges. How many times do we see the challenge chicken?
Several.
Yeah.
At least 8.
I mean, it is one of my favorite things to do is yell when the challenge chicken is thrown. Like, I just yell immediately.
We're giving you the opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's what I actually wait for them to throw. There was a point when I think it was Amy grabbed it, and I started saying the challenge chicken. She didn't throw the challenge chicken. I'm not quite sure if that's premature, but, it is something that I tend to do.
On that same point, Danny, I had to almost give her a technical tonight. She was clapping with the chicken's head. So,
is this something that we've spoke with before about not doing with the GMs?
It's an automatic disqualification if you damage any part of that chicken.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Unless it is on the toss.
Yeah. As it should be, because the chicken is a very integral part of Arizona Pickleball League and Tuesday Night Pickleball in general.
Yes, it is.
So let's jump in to, this is not just episode 5. This is also post-game show for the second week of the Arizona Pickleball League. Tonight we had the Peoria Pythons taking on the Scottsdale Scorchers. A little bit of a shock. Is that what I'm allowed to say? We were not fully expecting, especially after we had Caden on the show, on the mic last week, talking up his team, and we came out with a different result than maybe what some might have expected. Let's throw it over to the MVP of the night, Michael Loyd, one of my favorite people to watch play pickleball, and obviously favorite person to be on this side of it. You don't want to be on the opposite side of the net. But, Michael, tell us, let's walk through the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, first, lots of thank yous. Thank you to, my teammates setting me up for the win. Thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks for Patrick and Ashley for making this possible. Thank God for giving me a little bit of pickleball talent. So,
there you go.
But yeah, it was a roller coaster. I mean, we were down all the way through. Our girls really clawed us back, got us in good position going into the fourth quarter. And Treff and I knew that if it was close, we could make some things happen. I don't know if everybody else knew that, but we did. We never doubted it. I think there's a lot of people, talking a little mess coming into this, myself included. And Treff and I wanted to make sure that we could, walk the walk. And
we
not
love
just
that.
Talk the talk.
We love that. So you were walking the walk. Let's break down your 2 quarters, right? Your 2 quarters that you played. Let's break down the first quarter. You played against Pessa and against Haley. What did you see there? I know it was a little bit of a weird matchup in mixed doubles because you had a lefty against a righty, and then you had the girls in front of each other instead of across from each other. So tell us how that changed the dynamic a little bit, what you saw after that first, and then how that changed for you to kind of adjust your strategy going to the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing mixed against a lefty, it's obviously going to change up the patterns quite a bit. You're going to have the girls dinking straight up a little bit more. What that's going to kind of create is a little bit more dead balls because they're not going cross court. And then it's whichever guy can get to the middle first and kind of create chaos and then thrive from there. Honestly, I felt like in that match, Jess and I if you looked at the stats, you'd probably see that we won like a good bit, maybe the majority of points once we got into them. We just struggled with some missed returns, maybe finishing some points with like out balls that we shouldn't have hit, or me, not putting away a couple balls that I had an opportunity to. So we knew that we were in a good position. We just, weren't finishing points the way that we should. I'm really confident in our girls. I think we've got the best girls in the league, so I knew that they were going to get us, within striking distance. And then going into men's, it was all just, be patient, find the right balls, try to get me as involved as possible in the middle. Trev is super, solid on the right side. I knew he was going to give me a ball to work with eventually if we just kind of, stuck to the strategy and
definitely,
waited it out. We knew we were going to play, a little bit more straight up, try to get it to Caden so that I could be more involved in the cross courts. With that, we also told ourselves like, hey, like, he might earn a ball, he might hit a flashy shot, but we're going to make sure that we're, winning the majority of points. I'm not too concerned about the highlight plays, and in the end, it paid off.
Very much so. I completely agree with you. I think that the way that I looked at it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you made them play into your strategy more than they made you guys play into the strategy, and I think that that's what ended up leading to a 16-9 victory in quarter 4.
Yeah.
To expand on what you were talking about, when you have Pesa in front of you, are you nervous that, because when he's dinking around, he's doing all that stuff, are you nervous that when it gets into that cross-court dink rally, maybe with Treff, that that's when he becomes the most dangerous, so switching that up is obviously key for you guys?
I have so much respect for Pesa. I think he is probably, the guy that everybody has their eyes on in this league. I think, I've got the same opinion about myself. I hope that everybody in this league thinks that, they're the best, or that they at least have an opportunity to beat the best. My confidence level is very high, so I know in those straight up hands battles with Pesa, once he's gotten something and creates something down the line, that I can hang there. I think, with obviously the way the score went, it kind of shows that we won a majority of those hands battles. I was doing well, keeping Pesa honest in the right moments, and it kind of all came together. I mean, Treff was super solid. He mixed the ball around at the right times to make sure that Pesa couldn't come crowd middle too hard and then do all those flips that we know he's capable of. Instead, he had to, go back, cover his corner, and that opened up more opportunities for me to kind of wreak havoc in the middle instead.
Absolutely. And then, OSG, did you notice when the play was going on, first of all, there was a lot of finger wags tonight. I want to say that we broke a record for the number of finger wags that was happening. Yeah. Did you notice this same thing from the sideline? And as commish, how are we going to control finger wagging?
I'm okay with the finger wag.
We're okay with finger wag.
We're okay with the finger wag. With our guest, Amy, the general manager, yesterday, she had come up with a kind of a Python strike. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that a whole lot.
A little more of this?
Yes.
Treff was all over it.
Treff was kind of going for this a little bit, but you know what else? Treff was giving some of this out
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
And you were giving us some of this.
Yeah.
And Pesa and Caden were giving some of this. So, I was kind of here for the Python strike. Is there a strategy? Does that only come out in the biggest plays? Talk to us being a Python yourself.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys...
I think it's just feeling it out. I think we're a team with like a lot of swagger. We like to play, loose, energetic. I myself definitely feed off of like a crowd and energy. Luckily enough, in both of my quarters, I actually had pretty much the entire Scottsdale Scorchers like fan club behind me, and just absolutely terrorizing me. And so for me, that gets me going. I love to thrive off of the negative energy of the opponents, or the positive energy of the people rooting for me, and got a little bit of both today. And I think, Treff was just the same way, playing big under the lights, and you can't ask for anything more.
So I will tell you about something that I noticed. When you guys were in those cross-court dinking patterns with you and Caden, I saw a little bit what Tyson McGuffin calls premature attaculation.
Mm-hmm. From which side?
From the other side.
Ooh.
Which was allowing Treffery, actually, your partner,
mm-hmm.
to sit big on his forehand.
Yeah.
He won a lot of those points.
Yeah.
So that it was getting into it was putting them into an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. And then the premature attaculation was obviously something that, one, hurt them, but also you could see from both sides of the court, whoever was speeding those first balls up, we're losing the majority of the points. Not that it happened every time, obviously, but the counters were on tonight and stuff like that. So here's another fun thing that we get to talk about tonight is that you guys are back here on stage next week against the Gilbert Gladiators.
Yeah.
Does this energy that you just experienced fall and continue on into the next week for the Tuesday Night Pickleball?
Absolutely. I think momentum's super big. Being able to play back-to-back and go in on a win is just a huge advantage for us, especially since they haven't gotten to play this season yet. This will be their first match, and it'll be against us, who we're coming in hot. I think a lot of people, like you said, probably didn't pick us to win that. We knew what we were capable of, and got it done. I think you guys were talking about the heart rating in one of the other podcasts, and we've got big heart on
the Hooper.
On the
we call that one the Hooper, right?
It is a Hooper rating.
The Hooper rating, and I think the Hooper rating I was discussing with Kyle today, who was talking about the heart rating. Hooper stands for Heart Universal rating.
I believe
something.
it.
Yes. And and
here he is.
Our Hooper, the Hooper rating for the Peoria Pythons probably is sitting right about like a high 6 right now.
Okay.
I would say about like.
It's probably a little low for my standards. I think we're closer to like a 6-7.
You think you're closer? Okay.
I mean, did you see that tonight? Down big, coming back.
Is 8-2 the highest?
8-5 is the highest.
8-5 is the
yeah,
highest.
me and Kyle were speaking on that because I put myself in a high 5, maybe a 5-9 Hooper.
Yeah.
I have not been on this stage, so I can't tell you where I would be with the big bright lights shining on us.
Yeah.
But you guys showed today, you and arguably Treffrey came out. He was flexing on the crowd.
Yeah.
He was giving the Python. He was giving finger wags. His Hooper, I might challenge you, might be higher than yours.
It's higher than mine. Yeah, absolutely. We don't get that job done today without Treff being an absolute rock, understanding his role, being super smart about, like you said, the counters. He was the one that really set the game plan up, told me, like, hey, let's, be patient. He told me slide over, take middle balls when you can, and look to be aggressive. So, I mean, that all collectively, I think, gives him the higher Hooper than me.
Yeah.
And I can't be here without Treff. So
When they do the first mix, going back to that first mix match,
Yeah.
the GMs kind of talk to each other, and it's already preset. So you guys had some time to practice that a little bit, and we talked a little bit about the girls being heads up. And earlier podcasts I had mentioned, that's 36 inches on the sides like that instead of 34. Did you guys practice anything different? Heads up, because that's the highest part of the net and could be a tough go of it.
I mean, we have Treff as a lefty, so we got to practice that matchup basically the exact same way going into it. So that was really helpful. Otherwise, we would try to mix up some things, get some different guys to come in for subs and stuff like that. But since we did know the matchups and we knew that it was going to be, a lefty versus righty male, and both of those matchups, we were able to just kind of scrimmage against each other, give each other that look, and then kind of go from there.
Very smart game plan.
I did have one other thing the commissioner
Please do.
Got in my ear during the match.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michael's one of his more dominant things is his serve. And there were some people calling in, thought that maybe it was too high.
Okay.
I did go to the video on the new 8K camera, and you're okay.
Thank you. Never been called for it once, I will say that. I've worked rigorously on that serve, hit baskets and baskets with Nico Montoya late nights, and made sure it was legal.
There is something to be said about the serve and where it's coming into the pickleball game right now.
Yeah.
I myself have been working on a big serve because I noticed, I'll be the first person to admit that I got taken advantage of. I was getting a big serve hit on me and floating a ball in for them.
Yeah.
And this was in one of the first PPAs this year. I immediately went back, and for the next 2 weeks, the only thing I did was hit serves. I didn't work on anything else specifically other than the serve, because the serve is such an integral part of, like, setting the tone of the game. There's no other way to look at it.
Yeah.
If you're putting pressure immediately from the first ball, second ball, third ball, it makes a huge difference in the game. And I think that you saw that tonight. They were hitting some good serves that were deep, but not quite as hard of pace as you.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you see that, when you see, your serves are hitting in, you're going big, and you're able to get that big ball through the middle for your third ball, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's such like a compounding thing, right? It's not just like me getting short thirds or me getting missed returns. It's also the pressure, like you said, that they've got to maybe do more on their serve. So it's so many things. I mean, yeah, for me, I'm looking to, be aggressive on that first, like that serve, get a short third, and then from there, make the right decision. Sometimes it's hitting an aggressive drop. Sometimes it's hitting like the drip somewhere in between the drive and the drop. And then sometimes it's, just stepping up, cracking away, and picking your spot.
Absolutely. I will be the first person to also keep you honest and tell you that you did hit a few balls out today.
I hit balls that were going out? Or?
No. You hit the ball a little bit too hard and it went a little bit past the end line.
Mm-hmm.
We would call that out.
Yep.
By commissioner's rules, that's out.
Yep, that's a good call by the commissioner.
The line
and behind
the line is in.
Mm-hmm. The line is in now.
Well,
how do you tame yourself from getting too big for the moment and noticing, hey, I got to hold back a little bit more or get a little bit more dip on it? What are you looking for?
I think it's just a numbers game for me. If I'm getting 80% of short returns, and then I'm getting a couple of missed returns, and then maybe I'm only missing one or two serves. I think that's a healthy ratio. Obviously, if it gets to be where that ratio is a little bit more lopsided, I'm not making as many serves, and then all of a sudden I'm not getting the free points that I want, then I've got to step off the gas a little bit. And also it's situational, right? Like if at 50-52 and we've got 5 seconds left, I'm probably not going to be popping that thing the same way that I would at 50-51, right?
Yep.
Because at that point, I think it's 50-51. I'm taking a good calculated risk. If I miss the serve, I'm immediately going to hand it over to Trev, and then he's got a chance at it. So it's all just like reading kind of the situations, how you're feeling. Like I said, I've spent so much time on that serve that I'm confident in it in the big moments. And now I've been able to get so many tournament reps and pro mix singles and doubles that I feel really confident in those critical situations.
Absolutely, and it showed tonight. It showed that. You came out here and challenged and beat some of the best of Arizona. So that's one. Hats off to you. I'll be the first person that gives everyone praise who deserves it. So
Thanks.
Great job tonight. And let's kick it back over to Orchard Security Guy. Where did you see Michael excel? I know I get a text halfway through the fourth quarter usually, and somebody sends an MVP text.
Okay.
Is what comes through so that I can start feeling it out and seeing who we're going to pick. I believe Patrick Sullivan receives the same text.
Yes.
Today we were debating. There was a little debate, but that was probably about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then something happened. Can you take that away? What did you see?
Well, at 10 minutes, you guys tied it up.
Right.
Yep.
And then they may have took the lead back at 5 or 6 minutes. But then towards the end, your guys' obviously had as we talked earlier, a strategy of going where you wanted to go and kind of leaned on cadence sometimes, but really took over and hit some unbelievable shots. The rallies were incredible. And thought that you kind of took over the last 3 minutes of the game.
Absolutely. And honestly, you could even push the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
There was a clear best player on the court, and so that I think that was an easy decision to choose you as the MVP of tonight's game. What I want to know is if you can set the new pickleball standard here at Tuesday Night Pickleball and at the Orchard, sponsored by Jigsaw Health. Can you become MVP 2 weeks in a row?
We'll have to see. A lot of it, like I said, has to do with how my teammates set me up. I think Trev really was the one that like pushed me and let me kind of do my thing and set me up for success there. And so we'll see what it's like next week. I think the most important thing is that we come up with the overall dub. I'll be happy if any of us are the MVP because that means that we probably won.
There you go.
And a little shout out to the girls.
Yeah.
They really played really well in that third game and kind of set the tone for
100%.
you guys coming in
Absolutely.
to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they won their matchup by 4. We ended up winning the match by 3. So every single point was big. We knew that we needed them to kind of, put us on their back a little bit, get us back into it. They did an amazing job. Takako was barely missing thirds. Jess is being super aggressive with all of her rolls. And they just really, really dug in and kind of put us in, the best situation possible to win going into the fourth.
One of my favorite shots in all of the Arizona Pickleball League, I don't care what anyone says, is Takako's bop.
Oh, her bop is unreal.
It's so good. I mean, it's like you can't really read it very well because you don't see it a lot.
Yeah.
And so her bop sometimes just gets people a little bit off balance.
Yeah.
Sometimes puts the ball away. Sometimes it's just enough to allow the next ball to be here for an overhead.
It's definitely like a weird look, and definitely not a lot of girls like have the wrist dexterity to do that. So for
Absolutely.
her to pull that out, and she does it in big moments too. Like she's
totally
not
does.
afraid to pull it out, and like this super long critical rally, and then all of a sudden she's bopping it to like cross court or doing whatever. She can take it to different spots too.
Yeah.
So it's super weird. When I play mixed against her and she comes at me with a bop, I'm like, I have absolutely no idea where it's going.
Yeah, it's not something that you see often, so therefore it's not something that you can practice very well. And then so it just ends up getting you. And so I actually played mixed doubles against her just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd ever played against her or seen her play. And it threw me off for her first few couple points because you can't read it and you're not used to seeing it. And it's a quick, easy few points. And not to mention, it also puts the momentum on your side. Mm-hmm. So having that play from her, and then Jess Wilcox, obviously, played awesome.
Yeah, she's a rock.
Yeah, she's a rock.
Team captain. She played so good and mixed, and especially in the moments where I needed her to and I wasn't maybe playing my absolute best, she picked me up. It was just like one of those absolute like big team wins. Everybody came together, everybody played their parts, and we don't win that match and come back from losing the first 2 quarters unless, we've got faith, we've got belief, and we've got the type of kind of team chemistry that can carry us to the finish line.
And as we go next week, I could see, because I know I saw a few of the Gilbert Gladiators here tonight. I could see the Gilbert Gladiators lining up Chris Headings with you.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that challenge? Talk to me about how you feel about that.
Yeah, 100%. Love Chris, one of the best players in Arizona. Another guy who I think, I got to beat in order to be considered, that number 1 guy, and that's one of my goals, and I think it'll be super fun to get matched up to him. Hopefully, we'll be in the cross courts against each other, and not just men's, but mixed, and then I think a lot of fun stuff will happen. I think, he and I, along with, obviously a couple other guys in the league, those are some of the fastest hands in Arizona, so it'll be pretty fun to see those matchups.
Absolutely.
When we did, back to Kako's little deal, back in the combine, we measure that wrist angle on everybody that comes through, and hers was like 236.63 degrees. He turns that right hand and hits that shot.
Fairly accurate.
It was probably 24 degrees more than anybody else that came through the combine.
Do you remember who came in at second, or do we?
It's not coming to me right now, but I'll have that by next week.
I think Treff did have one of those today. He did have a bop in a big moment.
You know what? He kind of did.
He had like a squat bop, and it was a squat bop in a big moment. He got it over, and it paid off.
Team bop.
Yeah.
So are we doing here, or are we doing this?
It goes poof, and then to the bop.
We like it.
Is that approved by the general manager? Did we do a double?
That's a good question. Is that a little bit too much?
I don't know. I mean, Amy's one that likes, obviously the controversy. So we're gonna, I think maybe, talk about it, make sure it's officially approved. Obviously, we'll check with the OSG, but it's definitely in the works for next week.
I love that. The other thing that I wanted more of, but it's hard because I sit over here in the corner a little bit and I can't quite talk to everybody. I kind of wanted more cowbell. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Some big points out there, lots of opportunity for cowbell, not as much cowbell. I want it next week.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
I like the cowbell. It was there early. About like an 87.6 on the
Richter scale?
Yeah, on the measurements that they use for that. So I like that intensity earlier.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that triple digit next week.
The one thing that was interesting was early in the day, Scottsdale Scorchers, they came in a limo. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
Came in a limo, sat over here, were the loudest bunch until we saw a little fourth quarter action, even third quarter action. You guys were pressuring them, kind of shut up the crowd is what we would call that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they may have the bells and whistles and they may be all about, the gravy, but we're just steak and potatoes, baby.
Yeah,
we get down to business and we get it done.
Steak and potatoes. I love it. So we will be back here at the Orchard next Tuesday. I believe it is the 28th of March. Can you give us a little bit of a prediction of what we're gonna see? Are we gonna get a win from the Peoria Pythons, or is this gonna be a Gilbert Gladiator victory?
Oh, it's going to be a Peoria Pythons victory for sure. We've got respect for them, but we're going to come out hot, ride this wave of momentum, and see what we can do.
I love to hear that. OSG, do you have a prediction?
I think it's going to be another good match. If we see the fireworks show from Michael towards the end,
Okay.
we might see another Pythons victory.
I will say I want to see a 2-time MVP. I actually want to see a 4-time MVP.
Okay, I'll do what I can.
If you can.
Okay.
Because you're challenged by one of the most dominant players in this league, Dana Raugust right now, who had last week's MVP.
Absolutely.
Who essentially, and I'm not going to take anything away from you, but she dominated her game.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominated. So I want to see what Michael Loyd can do coming up these next few weeks. I'm going to put that challenge into your court. Obviously taking nothing away from what you did tonight, but I just want to challenge you a little bit, you know?
Okay, I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, and, I think that Dana Raugust is too.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for next week. We'll be here. I think the show starts at about 5:45, maybe 5:35, right in there. Please join us next week, and we will be having actually episode 6 later this, I think actually Monday. We're going to do a pregame show. So please join us for that. And then from there, we're going to end the night. Michael, great playing. Thank you for joining us.
Job.
OSG.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for keeping us safe. Thanks for checking the nets, the doors, the cameras, the 8th camera.
The 8th camera was so big tonight.
It was big tonight. We needed it. And then thank you to Jigsaw Health. It's fun to feel good.
Oh, it's so fun to feel good.
It is so fun to feel good. I think I actually wrote it on my shirt. And with that said, I think we need Mr. OSG to take us home.
Pickleballers, as you saw tonight, there was quite a bit of intensity between all 4 players. And one thing you don't see a lot is the breathing, the in through the nose, the out through the mouth. And they're nervous just like you are, trying to hit serves in, trying to drop thirds. But you got to realize when you're playing in these big moments, you got to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And when you are playing, there's a lot of shots that are awfully close to the line. That could be in, could be out. And as you saw tonight, there were 8 chickens thrown. So in your next matches, when you're playing rec, or you're in a tournament, and that ball's awfully close to the line, don't be afraid to give a "Paka" for the chicken. Until next episode.